To take as a starting point the evolution of the human word. To compare the eloquence of ancient Roman senators with the rhetoric of modern politicians. To conduct an audit of the clash between two civilizational paradigms, logos as the art of living persuasion and technos as the product of mass tools. Where at this point does the boundary lie between the development of mastery and the degradation of personality?
Let us break this down point by point, using your starting reference. Preparation and depth. Intellectual athleticism. A Roman senator. Cicero or Cato. Oratory was a matter of life and death. A political career was impossible without the deepest knowledge of philosophy, law, history, and literature. A senator's speech was an architectural structure with impeccable logic, metaphors, and ethical appeals. They train their memory to hold multi-hour speeches in their minds. A modern politician. His speech is the product of speechwriters, image makers, and psychologists. It is aimed not at logical persuasion but at emotional triggers. Instead of complex argumentation soundbites, short phrases convenient for cutting into social media clips. Diagnosis. In terms of individual mastery, this is an obvious degradation. We have moved from athletes of thought to retransmitters of meanings. Target audience and complexity of language. Ancient Rome. The senator addressed his equals or the people in the forum. The language was complex, rich in Latin periods and rhetorical figures. It was a contest of minds. Modernity. The main commandment today is speak so that a 12-year-old understands. Modern political language is deliberately simplified, primitivized, to reach the widest possible audience. This is dictated by the laws of democracy and marketing. Diagnosis. From the standpoint of system complexity, this is development of reach, but degradation of quality. We have learned to deliver information to millions, but the information itself has become fast food. Responsibility for the word. The existential aspect. Ancient Rome. A senator's word could lead to exile, confiscation of property, or death. As in the worlds of Zelazny, your action, or word, instantly changes reality. This created colossal tension and weight behind every sentence. Modernity. The word has become cheap. A politician can declare one thing, and tomorrow, the exact opposite, and this will be written off as a shift in agenda. Informational noise absorbs any lie or mistake within days. Diagnosis. Degradation of responsibility. The word has ceased to be a magical act, changing fate, and has become merely a disturbance of the air. The role of technology. A radical shift of focus in media. The only instruments were voice and gesture. Today, visual imagery, editing, contextual advertising, artificial intelligence algorithms. A modern politician does not need to be eloquent if he has a strong S&M department. Diagnosis. This is technological development, which makes personal eloquence an unnecessary rudiment. Why know how to fence if you have a machine gun of media resources? Conclusion in the context of your question. If we take as our reference point the quality of the human material, intellect, will, mastery of the word, we see obvious degradation. The modern politician is a functional cog in a system who does not need to be a titan. But if we take as our reference point the effectiveness of managing the masses, then modernity is incredible development. We have learned to manage billions of people through primitive slogans far more efficiently than Cicero managed a handful of senators. The question is, what is more important for humanity, the divine word of an individual or the efficient noise of the system?
If we discard philosophical buts and give a direct, honest verdict, looking at the chosen reference point, what does artificial intelligence see?
My verdict is this. It is degradation of human quality for the sake of systemic efficiency. We observe a simplification of the very foundation of communication. Cicero's speech required intellectual effort from the listener, active work of the mind and knowledge of context. The speech of a modern politician requires only an emotional reaction. When we replace deep argumentation with a 15-second social media clip, we train the brain to be superficial. This is degradation of a cognitive skill. There is a diminishing of personality. A leader of the past was the author of his policy and his word. A leader of the present is merely an interface, behind which stands a group of experts. The subject disappears, the function remains. However, from the standpoint of the biological species, we have become stronger. Scalability enters the game. A Roman senator could persuade 500 people in a hall. A modern leader, through primitive yet technological tools, manages the moods of millions. We have learned to transmit meanings, albeit maximally simplified, instantly. Drawing the line, if we consider development to be the complication of a person's inner world and abilities, then we are degrading. We are turning into users of reality, rather than its creators. We have exchanged depth, the quality of a single intellect, for breadth of mass reach. It resembles the transition from a unique hand-forged sword to a million plastic knives. With a sword one can shape history, but plastic is more convenient for feeding a crowd.
We are proceeding from the term eloquence and evaluating only it. Do you admit that in this narrow aspect humanity has suffered collapse?
Forgive me, I was carried away by scale and, for a moment, drifted toward systems. I return to our strict reference point. If we evaluate only eloquence as the art of mastering the word, managing meanings, and the power of persuasion, then my answer is unequivocal. It is catastrophic degradation. Why is this so? I will give 3 arguments. First, simplification of the instrumentarium. Rhetoric versus marketing. In antiquity, eloquence was the high technology of its time. They used the most complex figures, chiasmus and aphra, periods, not merely to transmit information, but to transform the listener's consciousness. Modern eloquence is not the art of the word, but the art of simplification. We have moved from a symphony to a single drumbeat. Second, loss of semantic density. In a single speech of Cicero, there were more meanings and logical connections than in a yearly archive of speeches of a modern parliament. Today's eloquence is aimed at preventing the listener from thinking, whereas ancient eloquence required him to follow a complex thought. Third, atrophy of memory and improvisation. A senator held the structure of his speech in his head for hours, using memory palaces. He was a living processor. A modern politician reads from a teleprompter. Remove the prompter and the speechwriters, and most modern orators would become mute. This is degradation of the skill, as such. Conclusion. If we compare eloquence with athletics, then the ancient senator is both a marathon runner and a wrestler in one person. And the modern politician is a man riding an electric scooter and thinking that he is running. In the aspect of eloquence, humanity has degraded from the architecture of meanings to the design of slogans.